What are the main parameters of finance that you should always focus on?
Cash flow. Cash flow is the reality of any business. How much is in the bank matters the most than profits on the papers, because there might be a mismatch with profit and cash flow. But cash flow is the reality and the truth of any business model, every business model, and all successful businesses in the world are champions of cash flow management.
What are the financial learnings business owners should actually focus on?
So businessman cannot be an expert on finance. He can look at it as a priority, but he need to have professionals engaged in his finance management so that is updated with the decisions.
What is the right money cycle to generate more profits?
It is situational. From business to business, situation to situation, you take financial decisions. Like for example, I have two friends. One is a builder, one is a financer. The builder friend of mine took 30 crores from the financer friend of mine for a period of 2 years at 24% per annum.
Many businesses, in spite of growing, end up closing because of bad financial management. And many times we see that the business owner is focusing more on sales or operations or new product development and completely ignoring the finance side. So as an entrepreneur, what are the main parameters of finance that you should always focus on?
Cash flow. Cash flow is the reality of any business. How much is in the bank matters the most than profits on the papers, because there might be a mismatch with profit and cash flow. But cash flow is the reality and the truth of any business model, every business model, and all successful businesses in the world are champions of cash flow management. That's why they are successful. It's not sales, it's not product perfection, it's not inventory management, it's not supply chain logistics management, nothing but finance management. All those are elements to make you successful. But cash flow is one element which will always keep you ahead of the curve. You really need to articulate your cash flow in such a way that you design your business around it. See, when we do business as entrepreneurs, what business we do is good, but how we do that business is most important, and that how should evolve and revolve around your cash flow management strategy related to your product or services that you're offering. If you get that in control, profitability is assured, it is guaranteed. So define and design businesses which are cash flow positive and cash flow supportive. As entrepreneurs, you're the master of your own decisions. So do not decide on business models or formats where your cash flow is not in your control, your cash flow is in the control of your customers. And if that is the case, then you're riding a wrong horse.
So in spite having the profit on paper, and because the business owner is not really has aptitude for finance area, a lot of mismanagement happens in the finance, like cash flows, or even financial awareness for business owner is less. So taking loans or the interest part, or people always feel that taking loan, how to handle the interest, how to repay. So what are the financial learnings a business owner should actually focus on?
So businessman cannot be an expert on finance. He can look at it as a priority, but he need to have professionals engaged in his finance management so that is updated with the decisions. Like for example, he can always decide how his cash flow should be, and then his entire business machinery focuses on that format of operations. Like for example, there are a lot of entrepreneurs who grow on the power of credit. They give credit to their clients to acquire more clients. Now when you do that, you need to understand one thing. A lot of entrepreneurs take bank loans, and bank loans don't come without collateral security. So you are giving collateral security for taking loans. You convert that money into product or services and give it to your client on credit. Now he has got no collaterals with you. So tomorrow if a client becomes a bad debt, you have to absorb that loss. It is actually giving away money. So taking secured money and giving it in an unsecured format. So that is dangerous. Lots of businesses have folded up because of their credit giving policy. That's why I said, when you do the business, make a possibility or make a situation where your products or services are not given away on credit. Then you are a financer to your customers. You are not the solution provider or a product provider or a service provider. You are actually giving them money in the form of your product and services. You need to be very cautious and careful about that. It's a part of your business master plan. Now, you need to create the demand so strong for your product or service that the customers are ready to pay well in advance. There are so many businesses where the customer pays in advance and waits for the delivery to come through. So many mobile phones, different types of businesses. So there is this young entrepreneur that I met. He is a 6 months old entrepreneur, but he is an experienced gentleman. I met him in Dubai a couple of days back when I was in Dubai. He told me he does reconditioning of ships. He reconditions old vessels, transforms them into oil storage facility and puts generators on them, and which generates electricity. So these large ships are parked outside small cities and power is generated on the ships and which is transferred to those cities. I never knew this kind of a business model, but he does that. So the reconditioning of the ship or making of a new ship, the waiting period is 2 to 4 years. Now when the demand is higher than supply, there is no negotiation, there are no terms and conditions. You have to pay and you have to pray that the vendor takes your money and gives you the product. You can design your products in that similar way. Apple does that. Like every year in the month of September, when he's launching the products, when Tim Cook is launching the products, people with money are standing in queues like beggars. It's not being distributed free.
Or borrowed money also.
And it's their own money or borrowed money also. EMI, bank EMI.
Yes.
And people are standing in queue to get the first-hand experience of the new product. That's the power of the product. Now, each one of us has the power to create a product which can be outstanding and which can be addictive to the customer, which he desperately wants. Whichever product creates a demand in the market, there are too many vendors to want that product to sell it to their customers. Because there is a product, you create the demand, and the demand creates your distribution network. When your distribution network wants your product, he is desperate if there is demand for your product. In that scenario, you can have advance payments. All great products of this country are available only after you do bank transfer and inform the company, and then the dispatch happens. All great product companies. There are paint companies, there are cable companies, there are so many companies in India where the power of the entrepreneur is so strong that he first receives the entire payment and then is shipping the product to the customer. So you need to do that. And if you're not doing that, then at least choose your customers wisely. Suppose if your customer is the government, then the credit period does not matter because government will always pay. Payment might get delayed, but payment is secured. Nothing can go wrong with that. But every entrepreneur does not have government as the customer. Then what do? Then you select your customer.
Correct.
You really need to do a research, the type of research you do for your product or service in the market, and the type of research that you do before you hire somebody important or hire consultants or bring vendors on board. Similarly, you should also research on your customer and then make him your customer if you are giving it to him on a credit basis. The character of the customer, who if he doesn't pay you on time or doesn't pay you, becomes your opponent. You really need to know him well in advance and then you should take the chance. Legal challenges is an expensive process. Most of the times, legal recovery of outstanding dues, the cost is not factored in the profits or the cost of the product or service. And if that happens, then you tend to spend beyond what you would have earned as profits. Now that also drowns large corporations, good businesses, mid-size entrepreneurs, small-size entrepreneurs. So you really need to be very attentive about how you manage the revenues from your sales. And that is nothing but cash flow management.
Great. So many times, we see that people or business owners are busy with their manufacturing or their R&D, but the financial acumen is not developed, and then they're not clear of many concepts also. Like there is one concept that, your money should rotate, so it will generate. So money cycle is a concept, like sometimes the money rotates only once a year, but in some businesses it can rotate every day, like the food business also, like a restaurant business. Money rotates every single day. So what is this money cycle and what is the right money cycle to generate more profits?
It is situational. From business to business, situation to situation, you take financial decisions. Like for example, I have two friends. One is a builder, one is a financer. The builder friend of mine took 30 crores from the financer friend of mine for a period of 2 years at 24% per annum against a security of 50 crores. I found it weird. I was a witness to the transaction. So after the transaction got done, I told the guy who took the loan, I said, "Are you crazy? You took at such terms?" He says, "Rajesh, this 30 crores will be useful for me to make my stock ready, which has got a worth of 500 crores. So I might not even need the 2 years period for the money. I will return it back in 9 months. Effectively returned it back in 12 months. But what is the cost of that money to him? That cost of that money is 12 months, 30 crores at 12%. Even if I calculate flat rate of interest, it is 3.6 crores. Whereas in 500 crores, if his profit is even 15%, you're talking about 75 crores. So it is more than 20 times of the interest that you paid for that last mile transaction to happen. He needed last mile funding for completing the product that he's constructed. You get me? So it is lot depends on what it is on a situation, on a particular situation. Now there needs to be a logic to it. Like for example, I would say that if you need money for a tenure of say 2 years and you have borrowed say 10 crores for calculation purpose, round figure is 10 crores. And that 10 crores is at say 15% per annum, and let me calculate it in a flat manner for convenience of calculation again. For 2 years, you are going to end up paying 1.5 crore plus 1.5 crore, that is 3 crores. That business venture of yours where you need this 10 crores should earn a minimum of 4 to 5 times of the interest that you are paying as your profits. Which means if my interest component is 3 crores and if I am going to earn a profit of 15 crores, 5 times 3 crores, then it is worth to pay 3 crores in that 15 crores. But if you are going to earn a profit of say 4.5 or 5 crores, then you are cutting too fine, because that 2 crores ka gap of profit can get evaporated for multiple reasons which are not going to be in your control. So then you are risking it. That is not worth risking it. So my formula is that the component of the interest that I am going to bear, my profit should be minimum 4 to 5 times of that interest payment. This is my formula. You might have your own formula. If you have a better formula, please share it with me in the comments below so that I can learn from you. Or you can take my experience of these calculations and implement it in your business model of how to decide whether the opportunity that I get, I should take a loan or not. See, business should be a business of need and not greed. Sometimes when we get a big order, then we bypass too many parameters and take that order, borrow money to complete that order, and subsequently we don't get the payment for that order. Then what happens? Then it is the question of your existence which becomes a big question mark. So to avoid these kind of situations, create your own homegrown formulas which you should not compromise with, come what may. Business should be a need, not a greed. And then if you take logical, mathematically calculated calculations, you will mitigate the risk that you are otherwise going to be exposed to unnecessarily. So this is how I decide the component of interest payment on. And as far as the cycle of money is concerned, that is business to business dependent. Some businesses churn the money every single day, some twice in a day, some once in a month, some twice in a month. Some do that once in a year. So it depends on your type of business model and module. But you need to be very prudent on how much is that risk earning for you. If you know that calculation well, and if it is at arm's length with the risk that is being calculated against that loan, you're in a safe position.
Correct. So that understanding everybody should get, that what is my interest and what is my money cycle. So if because the interest is annually contract calculated, but the money cycle could be shorter terms also, right? Another very business financial acumen that people are not very focused on is to sustain a business. Why businesses close? Business close because they cannot sustain a challenge. When there is no business or there is challenges. Now to sustain for a longer period, you need something called as a contingency fund.
Yes.
So challenges may come, something like COVID will come or something like that. So what is the formula to have a contingency fund so you can handle any challenge in the business and sustain through the challenge?
My formula is a bare minimum of 1 year's revenue. 1 year's revenue. Suppose if an entrepreneur is doing a 50 crore turnover ka business, if he can create up to 50 crores, it is a very safe zone because you get a runway of 12 months, and not that business will generate zero revenues. So that bare minimum revenue is there plus 1 years of revenue. Okay. As a safety fund, it can be liquid funds, it can be in an asset which has got an overdraft facility, loan against property. So it is available to you when required and if required. But that gives you a very good safety standards. Otherwise, there are a lot of people who keep a 3 months or a 6 months ka turnover kind of a concept as at the back end in some form or the other. But having 1 year is superb. More than 1 year means you're doing extraordinarily well in business. That is all the more welcome situation. But try to keep on increasing it. Over a period of time, your compounded growth of that safety money will be so good that you will psychologically feel comfortable to do that business. So one turnover should be good enough.
But I think having too much of contingency also is like you're missing out on opportunities. Then you're playing it very safe. You should not have a 10-year-old contingency. 3 year is good and the rest of the money can be invested.
I have a formula for that. So when I say that you should have a minimum 1 year's revenue as your backup, as a backup fund, it should be in liquid funds. Liquid funds is something that you can encash immediately, like stock market, mutual funds, those kind of assets. Or it can be invested in an asset which has got a loan against property overdraft facility which is available, which can be leveraged whenever you want. So the asset is there which is appreciating on its own. My recommendation is 33% of your profits need to be invested in other than your own business. So it can be stocks, it can be mutual funds, it can be gold, it can be silver, it can be assets which can have an overdraft facility, things like that. So what is happening is that 33% is not lying idle. That 33% is also growing, and in all probability, the compounding effect of that 33% will be more than the active profit making that you're doing in the business.
Absolutely.
But that's how an entrepreneur calculates, and that's how it should be done. When we were operating computer education centers, I started buying all the premises where I was paying rent. So the advantage to me was the rent was higher initially compared to the installment of the loan was higher initially compared to the rent. But then in the long run, it was comfortable because there was no increment. The property was my own and the appreciation was far beyond what I could earn as profits in that class. So that was the parallel strategy that I deployed, and the same assets when I sold subsequently after many, many years, that became the capital for my next business that I did, which is real estate development. So that is how I got capital for my real estate development as a business model. So you really need to calculate your way forward in such a way that you're always backed up with parallel revenues other than your own mainstream source of revenue generation from whatever business or services that you're offering, products or services that you're offering. Now, this is a conscious decision and it needs to be done logically and mathematically. In that 33%, you can also include your insurance coverage. As entrepreneurs, we are raring to go, we are daring to grow, we take liabilities, we take risks, we take responsibilities. It should be insured with a minimum of 2 multiples. For example, if an entrepreneur has a liability of 10 crores, he should be insured for at least 20 crores. More the merrier, at least 20 crores. The advantage is, in case of a mishap, the family will not be burdened with the liability that the entrepreneur has taken in the form of doing business. The loan gets paid off, plus one more amount is there for the family to get accustomed to and adjusted to the absence of the most important person of their family. So I think this also can work as a formula. Now, these are formulas that I work on, that I thought of, and that I implemented. You definitely might be having better formulas. If mine is better, please implement it. If yours is better, please share it. I and all the other viewers of this content can enjoy it and experience it and implement it.
Great. Sir, one more thing, that many entrepreneurs, and we all are entrepreneurs, there is nobody to question what are you doing and how you're doing. So I always say that the business owner becomes rich, but the business stays poor. That means every penny that is coming into business, it could be profit, it could be anything else, but the business owner feels that this is my money. So how do you separate that as a business owner, this is my income, this is my salary, this is my lifestyle, and as a business, this is the profit and this is the asset of the organization? What is the formula?
You need to have discipline. Financial discipline will make you grow and indiscipline will destroy you. So you need to have financial discipline. As a business owner, your withdrawals should be bare minimum for what is required for your sustenance, survival and growth in your personal life. Balance should be protected for the business model to grow and for your parallel type of investments, which can be a backup system in case of a mishap, business mishap. So if you don't have the discipline, it will be a challenge. Like suppose if you want to buy a house where your business can support a withdrawal of up to a loan of 10 crores. I know smart entrepreneurs they will buy a house worth 7.5 crores. I also know of entrepreneurs who should have bought a house for 7.5 crores, have bought houses for 15 crores. Now, where does that burden shift to? That burden shifts to the business. Now, that much less money is available for business operations, maintenance, and growth. So, those are steps that you should not take. How much can your business afford to give you withdrawals is something that you should put a formula to it. And then you should do it. So, there is this very dear friend of mine. He is into the cable manufacturing business, very successful. At the age of 65, he sold a stake in his company to a fund, and today his company is worth 12 to 15,000 crores. That is almost $2 billion, 2 billion US dollars. At the age of 65, he bought a comfortable house. Now that comfortable house, he paid 360 crores. But the man had the patience to reach to 65 years of age, to cross a turnover of 10,000 crores, to make the organization so valuable, and then gift himself with that kind of a house. Not that he was living in a 5 crores house. A man who will buy 360 crores of house, his existing house would have been 50 to 75 crores worth, but not 360 crores worth. That he bought when his business earned valuation. So he didn't withdraw the money from the operating revenue of the organization. He withdrew the money from the valuation equity stake of the company. So that is smart money planning, smart finance planning. And I think all of us, I'm sure, are doing good financial planning, but good is never good. Good can be better. And you need to do it better so that it can become best for you. And this is what, as entrepreneurs, we keep learning from each other and keep implementing. Our decision yesterday should be better today, and our tomorrow should be better than our today. That should be the learning curve.
Great. I think it can be summed up as, personal assets cannot create business.
Yes.
But business assets can create a lot of personal assets.
Absolutely.
Correct.
Absolutely. And there are a lot of people who have done this, that their business is so flourishing that a small fraction of it supports their lifestyle, and then their lifestyle improves. I know of another business friend of mine who started loving flying jets, private jets. Now he's so smart that when he realized that this is a big expenditure, although the turnover of his business can absorb that expenditure and it gets written off in taxes, but he went ahead and he has bought 4 flights, 4 aircrafts, and started a private jet company. So the non-flying hours of his is actually being earned by the aircraft. So the aircraft has become an employee of his organization, and that aircraft is now earning money for him to an extent that his flying has become free. And plus he's making a profit.
Wow.
So how you strategize your personal pleasures also can be a financial structure, which is a very interesting business model that he created. Of course, he reached to the level where he could buy the jets. Okay, so he crossed all those levels, and he's a second generation entrepreneur, but what his father left, he multiplied it 1,000 times more. But that friend of mine is also at 65 to 68 years of age today. So it has come today. But for his son, who is 32, 33, it's a great, brilliant opportunity, owning an own private jet airline company. Now, these are nothing but smart money management and strategizing where your pleasures of life become a part of your business model and a business model by itself. So this also can be done.
Great. I think financial acumen is very, very important. And if you like this content, please like, share and subscribe, and be connected with all the episodes of this channel. Thank you, sir, for this time.
My pleasure.
I work with and for Konark Cancer Foundation. It's a foundation which takes care of cancer patients. If you know anyone suffering with cancer, then we at Konark Cancer Foundation can connect the person with the right resources and facilities to ensure that the right time, right treatment reaches the patient. Whether it is connecting the resources or providing resources to the cancer patient, we do it all. It also includes support for accommodation in the city of Mumbai. We are associated and connected and networked with the right resources, the right doctors, and the right hospitals. We can bring all of this on a table to you so that it is convenient for you. Whether it is guidance, whether it is medical support, or whether it is operating procedures, our team facilitates every activity required for the patient and the support required for the family. We also connect you to the right NGOs and donors to ensure that you also get financial support and aid to whatever extent possible to ensure that the treatment happens and the life is saved. If you know of anyone who is suffering with cancer, please connect with us. The details are mentioned in the content below. Konark Cancer Foundation is an NGO. It's a not-for-profit organization, and we have lots of volunteers which support this good deed. So get in touch with us and help us to save lives. You too can be a part of this movement. Konark Cancer Foundation. Thank you so much.